Hello everyone, welcome back to Through Marginalized. We're back again. So that trip I was talking about, me going to Pennsylvania, I'm back in Oklahoma. Feels really good. I'm very relaxed from my trip. It's a good time. So, last update, I'm fully vaxxed officially because the 2 weeks finally went by. So, I am now mostly immune to COVID. So I'm very excited. Go get vaxxed if you haven't already, please. I don't want to live in this apocalyptic world anymore. So yeah, we're back. We are coming back in clutch with another personal episode. I just want to overshare everything about my life. That's the mood I'm in, I guess. I was supposed to be doing an episode with my cousin when I was in Pennsylvania. We were gonna do this together, but stuff didn't work out. It's okay. It was her birthday weekend. I didn't want to make it focus on me. So I'm just gonna say shout out Megan. You're the best. Pretty cool. We are gonna do an episode today. We're just gonna jump right into it. About what it's like living as a child. Only one parent. We're gonna do this. This is basically a tribute to my father, who he died August 12th, 2008. Title of the episode. Uh, And I'm just going to be going over how my life has, I guess, been affected by that fact. We're going to be discussing what it was like growing up as me, my mental health once I realized how things were, and then just some other little things that happen to you whenever you are without a parent, especially if it's by death and not by, leaving. So we're just going to get right into it. We're going to go. It's gonna be a fun time. Also, just my last little disclaimer. Everything I'm talking about, I have basically coped with. So this is nothing that I don't do this for pity whatsoever. This is most stuff that I've come to terms with, and like healing. I'm still healing, but it's stuff that I've had to live with, and I take no shame or anything of the nature. Like I'm just living my life, and it's just another facet of me. Cool. Yeah, we're gonna get right into it. So, my father died when I was 2. I was about to turn 3. It was the month before I turned 3. Uh, it was a car accident. I'm not gonna go into the whole story because um, it can be a lot for some people, so I'm not gonna do that. But basically means all of my memories don't include him. I have no memory of him. No memory of what he was like, no memory of anything. Only thing I have is pictures and recounts from my family. It can be kind of weird when you're growing up and you hear all about this dude, but you're also like 6 years old, so like you don't care because you're like, I just live with my mom, and me and my mom are cool, and I like living at a house with her alone, and everything's fine. So then you're like, why is everyone worried about me? Like that. Just why is everyone worried about me? So I'm gonna kind of clear that up. So, uh, obviously, whenever someone dies, it can be a lot because grief is a thing. You know, it causes problems for everyone involved. You know, he left his wife, his daughter, all of his sons because he has 4 sons. I have 4 older brothers that were all his. He left his mom, his sister, his nieces and nephews, and a whole bunch of other people, friends. And so that obviously causes a lot of distress for them because they know him and they knew him as a person. And yeah, like, because I feel like that's pretty self explanatory. But then you have me, who is just sitting as a 2-year old watching Little Einsteins. while everyone else is, trying to figure themselves out. My mom's side of the family, my dad's side of the family, like trying to figure things out, and there are issues and blah blah blah. And you're just chilling because you're 2 years old and don't know what happened. Uh, so because of the fact that I didn't grow up with a father, as you may guess, I grew up with a single mother for most of my life. That's most of what I remember is being in the house alone with her, her teaching me how to do puzzles and her singing me to sleep and me getting up in the middle of the night because I was scared and watching Little Bill with her as she was crocheting on the couch. And then once we moved to our new house, you know, forming all those new memories and watching her start to build a restaurant with her brother. And it was all normal to me because you grow up with this being your normal. Uh, I didn't care about having a dad because I didn't know that that was a thing that people had. It was, I mean, I knew that people had them, but I just didn't know it was going to be a big deal that I didn't have one. I just thought, like, oh, just that my family looks different. And I didn't realize until I was older about how much that would affect me. But I just want to give big props to my mom for being able to raise me by herself. I was her first kid, and I would say it was pretty easy until like mid elementary school. But still, props to her for like keeping me alive and having a roof over my head. I had just I obviously I knew I didn't have a dad and I knew that he was dead and like I was told that when I was 3 or 4. I knew. But I didn't like I was like, okay, cool. That's nice. But as a kid, a lot of like family friends and stuff that lived with like around me, they would always tell me about how great my dad was and how amazing of a man he was and you would you're so much like him, you look so much like your dad, you sound so much like your dad, your brothers look so much like your dad and it would be awesome if you could meet him. And I was just always hearing this stuff and they started saying that stuff when I started getting older, so like 6, 7. So I was like, okay, cool. I don't know why you're saying this to me. I just want to go swim in the pool, but like, thanks for letting me know. I'll make sure to pass that along. So I internalized the fact that my dad was a pretty cool guy and he was the perfect angel that everyone made him out to be, and that he was just the best thing in the world. But I this might sound awkward to say, but I hit puberty really early, which meant that my mind was maturing a lot faster than a lot of my peers. So when I was around 7 or 8, I was like, so all these people are telling me that I had a dad that was pretty cool, who would have loved me so much, and I would have loved him so much, and if I had one, it would have solved all these problems I have in my life. So, does that mean that I need one? Does that mean that I'm missing out on something, is what you're telling me? Which is kind of gnarly for a third grader to be a second grader actually, for a second grader to be thinking about. There's just so many problems. Uh, I also had some other stuff going on in my life around the age of 7 or 8. My little brother was born around that time, and I had um, my mom obviously dated someone to be able to have my brother around. And so I had had a father figure for the first time in my life in 4 or 5 years. and then he ended up leaving. So not only did I have a dad that I never met, that I'm supposed to have loved so much, I finally got that, and then it was taken away from me. It's all really conflicting for me to go through. Lots of emotions, lots of, I don't know what's going on here. So around 8 or 9, I started asking a lot more questions because I felt I was missing out on a lot. I asked my mom because family friends made it really awkward. I understand what they were trying to do and like make me feel like, you know, he was cool, so I'm cool. But it just made me feel like I was just missing out on something for the entirety of my life, and it made me feel really crappy. So I started asking my mom about him. Like, I would ask to see their wedding scrapbook a lot more, and I would just ask questions. About what he was like and stuff like that, and it started. And instead of helping, it actually made me very sad. It made me very sad. um, the final straw, I guess, for my mental health, when it finally hit me that there are things I'm never going to be able to experience because I don't have a dad. Was whenever one of my best friends at the time, again, we're in 3rd grade, like, I'm just living my best life. And she was so sweet. She was like, she didn't do anything mean. She was like, her dad was in the army, and he was coming back to Oklahoma for a while, and she invited me to this daddy-daughter dance they were going to be going to in December of that year. And I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. I would want to. Wait. Wait 1 second. You're telling me this is a daddy-daughter dance? That's funny, because my stepdad just left me, and I have nothing left now. So I can't go. And so for a month straight, because she invited me in November, this dance was in December, that whole month, I just broke because I was so confused and sad and lonely and just missing someone I had never met. And it was really strange. I'd always felt things really deeply, but I had never felt that complex of an emotion before that, you know? And when I told my mom about it, I was like, Mommy, hey, uh, Gabby invited me to go to this daddy-daughter dance, but, I, since Bobby isn't around, then maybe, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And so, being my mom, who hasn't had this, like, interaction, that she hasn't been confronted with that kind of thing before, she kind of freaked out because she felt bad for her daughter, you know, since her daughter is finally realizing that she can't give her something that, like, that's one thing that she can never give her is a dad, you know? And after a while, she's like, well, maybe you can take your uncle because, he's kind of like, he's your godfather. And then I was like, no, it's not real. I don't have anyone that's like a real dad. And so after I got invited to that dance was when I fell into the deepest depression of my life. There was this little support group at my school, my elementary school, for kids who didn't have, who had someone died in their life, or their parents are divorced, or their parents are in jail, or they're adopted, or so that helped me a lot. I had free therapy at lunchtime on Thursdays. for 3 years, which helped me a lot. But it was just so detrimental to me as my little third grade self, knowing that I could never go to a daddy-daughter dance. No matter how many options were, you can go with your older brother, he was your dad's child, so, that might mean something. You can go with your uncle, he's your godfather. I slowly started to realize that nothing could fit into the father bubble. And that's when it hit me that almost everyone else has a dad, whether they're divorced or away or whatever. They have someone alive and I don't. And I'm never going to know what that feels like. So again, depression. My mom bought me all these books about like having someone in your life that died, and I would read those over and over and over to try to find some clarity. And I guess it worked, but it just didn't click in my head that I'm just gonna have to deal with this. I'm gonna have to live with it. And it was just made worse with like almost any time there would be like a neighborhood gathering with the family friends of mine. Like I would talk to them about school and like, how's school? How are you doing? Blah blah. And then somehow my dad would get wrapped up in the conversation. I'm like, I don't care. As much as that probably sounds like a really mean thing to say, I was like, I don't care. I really could not care less. Because it made me sad. Like, you guys are just making me sad. And, like, some of the only people that were able to make this better for me was the family, like his side of the family, which is the one I just visited, and my mom. Because there's just so many conflicting emotions about this all the time. Because on that side of the family, that was who he grew up with and who his family is genetically. And they were able to tell me some things about him. They drove me to the Bronx where he grew up, and they showed me his house, well, the house that they used to live in before they moved to Pennsylvania, and they showed me where he went to school, and there's a lot of things that they were able to tell me about that I could never have gotten here in Oklahoma. But I was only there for 3 weeks of summer, and then with with here, I have both my family and family friends talk about how great of a man he is, and it's just everyone made him sound like an angel, and that I am just so unlucky for not being able to meet him. And my mom she was able to put it into perspective for me the best way I think anyone was able to. She was the only person who was able to describe him as not this perfect angel, that he had some bad stuff happen in his life. He made mistakes. He did things I wouldn't have liked. He drank a lot of alcohol. He smoked cigarettes. He called people mean names sometimes, but he was also all of the good things that everyone made him out to be. He was the good stuff plus human. He wasn't this made up character that I'm just so unfortunate to have never met in my whole life. He was an actual human. And you would think that that would make me miss him more, but it it made me feel like I finally knew what I was missing. It wasn't this man with no faults. It wasn't this man who was loved by every single person ever. It wasn't a man who loved everything about his life. He was a man who hated his job at a furniture company in Florida. He was a man who lived in a trailer park. He was a man who had some stuff going on in his life. Who had who took on a bunch of kids when he was pretty young. And that's where I come from. All those faults are what make me me. I think one reason that my mom describing him as not perfect, how it helped me is that I wasn't living up to any super amazing expectations. After she explained those things to me, whenever someone told me I was so much like my dad, I was way more proud than I was before. Because I wasn't perfect, I was just good. I was good at being who I was, just like he was. Apparently. I don't know. They could all be lying to me. Every single person in my life could be lying to me about this man. And I could never know. It could be all one big marketing scheme. We'll never know. But when it comes to grief and people who who knew him before he passed, it's a very different experience than someone like me or my younger cousin who hear about him all the time and just have to live with the fact that we're never gonna know who he is. No matter how many stories and how many things we see that were his, we're never gonna know. People who are grieving someone that they knew, talking about that person probably is very much a sense of healing. And it can take a lot. It could take a long, long time to even come to terms with the fact that someone like that is gone. And I respect the grieving process because it's freaking hard, and I know that. But I don't think a lot of people realize how hard it is for people who never knew the person and have to deal with everyone talking about how great that person is and seeing society's expectations of a household with one man, one woman, and how much it hurts to know that you're never going to see that person, and then everyone else thinks that your family dynamic is wrong, that you're never going to be raised the right way, or you don't have it all. That's because one person is gone. And it hurt to hear that, seeing all these things, it was usually used as homophobic rhetoric about, every child is raised better with a dad and a mom. But to me, that was insulting my mother, who raised me and my little brother on her own. I mean, with help from my grandparents. But, she did that all by herself. She is able to have kept us alive this long. She has taught me more than the basics. She doesn't just give us the necessities. She gives me life lessons. She has developed my emotional health, my emotional intelligence, my professionalism, my politeness, my empathy towards others. She has done more than be my mom. My mom is my best friend. But hearing those things about how every child is better raised with a mom and a dad. So you're discrediting all the work that my mother has done to raise me and my brother. It makes people like me miss even more what we don't have. And I just, we just be more empathetic. I I don't think people understand how much stuff like that hurts, because I'm never going to be fully over this. Just like none of my family and none of his friends are going to be fully over the fact he's gone. They're going to be hard days. Probably decades in the future. Wow, computer. I get it. I have a virus and threat protection. Leave me alone. Um, I get that they're going to be hard days and that people are going to want to talk about him and say all these great things. But there are so many circumstances and so many different experiences for people who only have one parent and people who have someone that died, whether it was a parent or a grandparent or a guardian or sister, brother, cousin, whatever. I it's so difficult to hear all these things because you're always gonna miss something that you never had. There's no other feeling like that. It's something that I think we need to be more aware of in people in general, but also in children. Because I know it messed me up. I know I have many, many mental issues because of those circumstances. My family has never been the same since his passing. But it's. Everyone needs to respect everyone else's journey, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So, the reason I titled this episode 8/12/2008 to present is because as much as I don't remember what I was like before the age of 2, I will never be the same person. I would never be the person that I am if it weren't for his passing. If on August 12th, 2008, he survived, I would be completely different Maya Velasquez, and I know that for a fact. I would not have the same friends. I would not have the same school experience. I would not have the same family relationships. I would not have the same interpersonal relationship with myself that I have. August 12th, 2008 to the present is the life of someone I am very proud of. It's the life of someone who has been able to properly communicate her emotions, someone who has been able to get through so many obstacles, mental and physical, someone who has been able to be a help to others, someone who has done well in school, someone who is way too obsessed with puzzles, someone who cares for people and animals with as much empathy as she can muster. Maya Velasquez from August 12th, 2008 to the present is someone I could never have been if not for the passing of my father. And I think the same thing can be said for anybody who has lost anybody. My mom, from August 12th, 2008 to the present, would not be the same mom if he had survived that day. Of course, she'd be just as amazing, but there's so much that she has learned alongside me as I have grown up. But I honestly don't think she would have learned if he was still here. My my family, his side of the family would not be the same as they are now. A lot of bad things came out of him being gone. But I think it translated into a lot of growth, reflection, and love for one another. That I don't think that dynamic would ever be the same otherwise. And that might be easy for me to say as someone who has been able to navigate this pretty well for someone my age. But I genuinely think that just the fact that my father was on this earth was a gift enough. Not how long he was here. Because apparently, if everything that everyone said that he was true, he was a kind, loud, talkative, empathetic, apparently not very smelly man, then the world itself was blessed enough to even have him here in the first place. Everyone's journey is very different. My brothers had it completely different than I did when it comes to um, healing from the death of our father together. But I know that, again, if what I was told is to be true, we're strong enough to have his death empower us whenever we're not okay. We are stronger than any we're stronger than any death. We're stronger than any hardship, especially emotionally, that comes our way, because whether I know him or not, I know he's in me somewhere. I know that I have the exact same nose as everyone on his side of the family. Apparently I have his ears. Apparently I have I have his height. I know that, and my brother's jealous of that. I know that he's a part of my life no matter how long he's on this earth. So why not use that for good? Why not use that fact to help me heal? To help me know that I am able to withstand anything. And I don't have to live up to any expectations that are put onto me, whether by others or myself, have to do with being like him. Because I know that whatever I am, he would have loved me as much as he possibly could. Death is freaking hard to deal with for literally anybody. And some people might not take it as well as others. Some people might take it way better than others. Everyone's journey is very unique, very valid, and very appreciated. I think one thing that being a child of a single parent has taught me is that Single parents work their butts off, just all working as much as they can to provide for their children. Whether it's a single mom, whether it's a single dad, whether it's a single parent, they try their best every single day to make sure that their kids are taken care of. And everyone needs to respect single parents everywhere, because if not, you're a bad person. And I personally think that you're terrible. Thanks. Um, I have learned that family is whoever you want it to be. Family is your blood, but family is also who you choose to be. I'm lucky enough to where most of my family is the best, and like most of my genetic family is the best. But I know that I'm able to also choose who is the closest to me. Love you, friends out there. You're the best. And I know that no one is done growing up. No one is done getting over it. And no one has it figured out. I personally, like, not to like brag, but this is just me getting like intel from every other adult in my life. I think I have it pretty figured out emotionally for someone my age. And I know that the adults in my life, those same adults, are still figuring a bunch of crap out. Probably figuring out as much as I am right now. They might be further along in their healing process as I am. They might be behind me. But regardless, it's all healing. And none of us are done doing that. None of us are stagnant. There's not a certain checkpoint in life where you should have everything figured out and where everything should be okay and where everyone should expect that you're fine. It's different for everybody. Having this kind of, I guess, backstory, I don't call it an experience because it's going to be my entire life. Having this kind of backstory, it's, I'd say I'm prideful, at the very least, because I know that he was friends with great people. He married a great person. Cause not that I'm biased, but like my mom's pretty great. My mom's like the best mom. I don't know. I know that he has a great family, and I have great cousins, and they all had a great brother and uncle and son. And I know that I am a great daughter to anyone who is struggling with grief, whether it be because someone has passed or because someone has left, or both. Or you're just feeling lonely because you don't have someone or something that, makes you feel like that the people expect you to have. The greatest lesson that has come to me is that you are enough. You might need other people to help you figure that out and help you get to that point. But you, as cheesy as it is, as absolutely cheesy as it is, you are all you have at the end of the day. And once you start figuring stuff out, you you will recognize that you will be enough for yourself. No one person or group of people will ever be enough to define the quality of life that you have. You are enough, and so is just everyone. You are enough, no matter who you have in your life, no matter how dark it gets, no matter how happy you are. You're great, and you will always be your biggest fan if you let yourself. Did you like the cliche? Did you like it? Did you like my cliche speech? I hope so. I didn't work very hard on it, but it came out to give to y'all. So thank you. At the end of the day, what we're gonna end this on today. Why I mixed today with tonight and it made me sound Australian. At the end of the day, no, like, just respect people's journeys. You don't know what people are going through. That's one thing that I've definitely got also is that I know that as happy as I looked a lot of the time, I had major depression and anxiety. It has left me with major depression and anxiety. And I look okay, but I'm still struggling. Just respect people and where they come from. A lot of this stuff, if this happened to a different person, they could have a completely different outlook on what this did for their life. Not everyone can handle things the same way. So just have empathy. Like, most of my messages in me just have empathy because people need it and they just need to be just like respected as a human being. Please. Thanks. Have empathy, understand where people are coming from, and don't equate people that you know to other people. It was very detrimental to me as a kid to just constantly be reminded about how great my dad was and how much I would have loved it. And I am not great because of my dad. I'm great because I'm myself. Don't let anyone ever convince you otherwise. And since I wouldn't have had this outlook if it wasn't for every member of my family, thank you to every member of my family. Because, you know, you're the best. Like, every single person that I know has given me a different point of view on just the concept, the fact that my dad is gone. So, and I value each and every one. And this is one of the reasons I wanted my cousin to be here to do this with me because she actually knew him when he was alive, and and it was a different perspective I actually hadn't heard too much about because she was his niece, and that's one thing I actually hadn't heard much about. But hopefully, I get to have that conversation with her one day, whether it's in a podcast or not. And just like it's all my family has been so helpful in my healing process. Like it being my brothers, my aunt, my grandmother, both my grandmothers, my mom, just every people will help you heal, and you'll heal when you're ready. That's enough cliche for today. I might vomit. That was a lot of like cheesy things, but I said them, so now they're in your life. You can't take them back. You can't forget this moment. There's no memory gun from Gravity Falls to remember it's here now, so you have to deal with it. Thank you guys so much for listening to this one. It might have sounded really sad, but this is actually really fun for me. So thank you for sticking around to the end. Today's song recommendation is going to be Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. Bob Marley was one of my dad's favorite reggae artists, and I'm named after Bob Marley. Uh, my my middle name is Marley, and that comes from Bob Marley. Uh, and so, Three Little Birds used to be one of his favorites, and my mom used to sing that to me every night before I went to sleep. Like a little, just a little like thing, you know. Oh, I actually want to go over one thing before I end this because I think it's kind of cool. My dad was super into Native American culture, and he would collect all the. He would have like he had a shrine. I'm pretty sure of a bunch of like Native American stuff, and he had started collecting dream catchers, and excuse me, now I collect dream catchers. My entire wall is filled with dream catchers. I'm not in my room, so you can't see it. So I'm in a different house, but that's like those like my brother now gets me a dream catcher like almost every birthday, and I love you, Eli. Thank you. Uh, that's like those little things that even though he's not here, he's a part of me. My name is after the Mayan native, like the Mayan natives, like the Aztecs. So yeah, almost my entire name is because of him. Even the last name, because that's his last name. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, go. Honestly, listen to like most of Bob Marley stuff. Like I love Bob Marley. I don't know if that's because of him or if it's just because I'm Caribbean. I don't know, but yeah. I listen to it at work, so I get my fill every day. So you can go get yours now. Anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Next week, well, not next week, next episode, we're going to be talking about women's rights. And this is going to be my first women's rights episode. We're going to be talking about the modern feminism movement and, what you can do to not be a dummy. Stick around for that one. Okay, love y'all. Hope you guys have a great and shining day. See you next time.